Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Nicole if you're new, and I love to share a lot of my home cooking with you here. So today, again, I am excited because I am making something I haven't made in a long time. Kind of never, but I'm gonna be making Chile Verde today, but with a homemade from scratch chili sauce. Now, that's why I say kind of never, because we had Chile Verde a lot growing up and we always used pork, or my dad did, but didn't always make his green chili from scratch. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that today. And if you've been following a lot of my Sunday dinner videos, you know that I've been trying to make a lot of them more higher protein and lower calorie because that's been working for me lately. So today I'm just gonna do a couple little tricks to help bump up the protein in this meal. All right, so I am starting off with a pork shoulder roast. This is about 4 pounds. I'm doing pork. I'm sure you can do other meats. This is just how we always had it growing up. And typically how we ate it is that the pork was already cut into like bite-sized chunks while it cooked in the green chili. So today I'm gonna do a little different, and I'm gonna be cooking my Chile Verde in my slow cooker so that I can cook it low and slow in my sauce. So for now, I'm just gonna take my 4-pound roast and I'm just cutting it up into about 4 big chunks of pieces like this so that I can get it seared on the stove first before adding it to our slow cooker. Now, this pork shoulder, or pork shoulder in general, is not a super lean cut of meat, which is why it's harder to make this dish a little lower calorie. But I am going to do my best to add in a lot of protein, like I said. And I'm gonna trim off some of the fat. There's like a thick layer of fat on this roast, so I'm gonna be trimming some of that off because we won't be needing that. And right now, heating up on my stove, I have a pan with just a little bit of some avocado oil in there to get our sear going. Okay, so I cut off a good amount of fat in here. Obviously, you can't get everything because you can see in roast, the fat is kind of marbled throughout, which helps give it, you know, some good flavor. So we're good with that. Next, I'm gonna take my clean hand, and all I'm gonna do is add some salt and pepper on my 4 chunks here, and then I'm gonna flip it over so that I make sure I get all sides and get this all nice and rubbed in. So I think that looks pretty good. Let's head over to our pan. Okay, so I have a medium heat going right now on my stove. I'm gonna add down my meat. And let this keep going until we get a nice brown sear on all sides. All right, it's been a few minutes. Go ahead and get this turned. Some really great color on here. Smells good already. All right, we'll give it a few more minutes. Now that I have all my meat nice and seared, I'm gonna go ahead and drop this straight into my slow cooker. Look at these nice big chunks of roast here. And I'm gonna pour that juice in as well. Make sure we don't waste that. It smells so good. Okay, so I have my flame on. First, we're just gonna go raw on our stovetop. Do I normally do that? Not really, but we'll see how it goes. And we'll just kind of turn them as they get nice and charred. Super easy. So it's been a few minutes and my peppers are getting nice and charred right there on my stove. So peppers do really well. These tomatillos kind of slip through my grates a little bit, but we're making it work. Just a few more minutes until we get them charred on all sides. So I turned off the heat on these, and I'm taking my Anaheim peppers and then just adding them into this Ziploc bag so that we can get them sweating a bit. Okay, now that we have everything nice and charred, here are my beautiful tomatillos, my habanero, and my onion. My Anaheim peppers are here sweating in our bag. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adding to the blender right now. All of these are gonna get mixed up. Throwing in my tomatillos. My habanero pepper, my onion, and I'm also adding in 1 garlic clove. This is not charred, this is just straight from my freezer. For this recipe, you do need to add 1.5 cups of water, but instead I'm going to be using my bone broth to bump up the protein just a little bit in the green chili sauce. So I'll do the same amount, 1.5 cups. Remember, 9 grams of protein per serving in this. And about 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Oh my goodness. Whoa, my top literally just came off on my cumin. So it's gonna be a little more than 1/2 teaspoon. But that's okay. Let's just roll with it. And then 1/2 teaspoon of oregano as well. Let me make sure this top doesn't come off on me. All right, and I'm just gonna eyeball that 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. And now we can get started working on our peppers. So I'm gonna remove them from my bag. Hopefully they're not super hot still. Once they sweat out of it, they're ready to be peeled. I wish I had some kitchen gloves, but I don't. So I'm just gonna use the side of my bag in here to peel off the skin. You can see that, or hopefully you can see a bit that it just scrapes off right as I'm holding it. And then I'm also, because these are still a little hot, I'm gonna use my tongs to help pull out the stem and seed. Pull out the stem. And then we have our beautiful charred peppers right there, and I'm just gonna add that into my blender as well. And I'll keep working on these. Typically when I had Chile Verde growing up, our sauce wasn't made from scratch. They have, if you look in your grocery stores, they have pre-made sauces that you can use. And we use that a lot just because it's quick and fast, you know, when you're in a pinch. I slotted extra time just to do this. And plus that's what's great about doing home cooking, is that you can spend some time experimenting a little bit and cooking from scratch on the days that you're able to. Hopefully, I'm hoping that it turns out really good. So I'm gonna keep working on my peppers and then we'll get this all blended up. All right, take a look at our beautiful green chili sauce we made here. It smells really good. So I'm gonna take this and pour it right over my pork chunks. Make sure I get all of that in there. And then we're gonna let this cook in our slow cooker. I'm gonna check it, I'm gonna put it on high and then check it in about 3 hours and see where we are at our tenderness level and how much further we need to go. And that is it, super simple. All right, now that we have our meat squared away, I wanna go ahead and get started on my agua frescas because I don't want to have to deal with that once I'm working on the sides a little later tonight. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started on it now. I have my blender ready. 2 reasons why I'm making this. 1, my husband loves agua fresca. And if you don't know, that just means like fruit water. And he makes them himself all the time and we order them all the time when we go to taquerias. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make them at home because the second reason, I have a bunch of fruit that I need to use up and I do not waste food. So I don't want these going bad. So the 2 fruits I have in my fridge, I cut up 3 mangoes here, and I have about a pound of strawberries. I'm gonna be making strawberry mango agua frescas today, and it's super simple. All you're doing is adding fruit with water and sugar if you need it. So I have my pound of strawberries in here. I just, these are clean and trimmed, and I'm adding 2 cups of cold filtered water, and I'm not going to blend these together because the strawberries, they're seeded, and I'm going to go ahead and strain that before I mix both of them together. So let's get this blended up. All right, I'm back. Look at how pretty my strawberry water looks. So I'm just going to pour this into my pitcher with a strainer on top, so that we don't get the seeds in ours. I mean, you can leave them in, probably just preference, but I'm gonna go ahead and strain ours because I have the time right now. I'm just gonna help this along a little bit with my little spatula here. Now, I wish I had like a really nice, pretty see-through pitcher or crystal glass pitcher for you to see how really pretty this is gonna turn out, but I don't. So I'm just gonna use what I have right now. Let me show you how nice and quickly that goes through, and just a few seeds. All right, and I'm going to wash out my blender before I add the mango, just in case there are any seeds left in here. Okay, now I'm gonna add my mangoes. These are fresh cut up mangoes. And I have, it was a total of 3 mangoes in here, which I think was short of 2 pounds. It was maybe like 1 3/4 pounds. So I'm gonna add, and mine are pretty ripe, so I don't anticipate we'll have to add a lot of sugar, but we'll see once we get to that step. So 3 mangoes, and here I'm gonna do 3 cups of cold filtered water. Oops, spilt a little bit. That's fine. Let's go ahead and get this blended. All right, here is my beautiful mango water, and I'm gonna pour that straight into my strained strawberry water. And the mangoes you don't need to strain because, you know, there's no little seeds in them. And then you'll see if you make this, it's a little on the thick side, and I'm gonna add in 2 more cups of my cold filtered water and get that nice and mixed. Now, before I add any kind of additional sweetness, I'm gonna give it a bit of a taste. That's really good. But for preference wise, I'm gonna add a little bit more sweetener. I'm going to be adding, instead of cane sugar, to help us lower the calories a bit, I'm gonna be doing a Swerve sugar replacement. So it's a 0-calorie sugar, but it measures and bakes 1-to-1 like sugar. So I'm going to just do an eyeball as to how sweet I think I'm gonna want this, but it'll maybe end up being about 1/4 cup. All right, so that should be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the top on and then throw this into my refrigerator to chill before we serve it over ice. Okay, so now it is a little bit later and our pork is hopefully almost done. I wanna go ahead and start on my sides. I'm gonna first do just a really simple red Spanish rice. So I washed about 1 cup of long grain rice here. And to add protein to it, I've talked about this before, instead of using water, because I do my rice, 1 part rice, 2 parts liquid. So instead of using just water, I'm gonna add in bone broth. And I found this one in my fridge that I need to use up. This one is beef bone broth. So I usually use chicken, but since I have this, I don't want it to go to waste. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this. And we're gonna get started on our stove. Okay, I'm gonna start with a little bit of avocado oil. And I have about 1/4 cup of chopped up onions in here. And this is about 2 cloves of minced garlic. And we'll just get this sauteing for a couple minutes in our pan. And to add a little bit of flavor, I'm gonna include a can of these green diced chilies. These here are not hot. I'm gonna do maybe 1/2 can. And I'm gonna saute that with my onions and garlic for a minute. Now I'm gonna add in my 1 cup of rice in here. And I'm just gonna get this started to toast up in the pan. I want it to toast, but definitely not burn. So I'll leave this in here for a couple minutes. And I'll go ahead and add some salt, some pepper, and just a little bit of cumin in here. I just eyeball these. And this is on medium heat while I'm toasting up the rice. All right, that looks good. Now today, I'm just gonna use a store-bought tomato sauce. You can definitely make your own, but this is nice and simple for me. But I am gonna use the no salt added. I'm gonna do about half of this can. And that's just because I like to control the amount of salt that I put in this rice. And give that a stir. Now I'm going to add my bone broth in here. But instead of doing the 2 cups today, I'm gonna short it by about 1/4 of a cup or 1/3, because that tomato sauce is gonna make up for some of the liquid that we added. So I'll pour that in now, give it a stir, and I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. All right, now that we're at a boil, I'm gonna cover it, turn it down to low, and let this keep working for about 23 minutes or so. Okay, now that our rice is working on the stove, I wanna get started on my beans. So I'm gonna do chorizo beans today, but a lower calorie, higher protein version. So I'm gonna keep the beans easy by just doing a can of these no fat traditional refried beans. Now I do the no fat because it's lower calorie, 80 calories per serving with 5 grams of protein, so not too bad. But I'm gonna add in a lot of flavor and protein with my chorizo turkey sausage. Now, chorizo is something that I've used on my channel before, making breakfast burritos. I grew up with regular chorizo sausage. It's a very heavily seasoned and flavorful sausage, but I switched to turkey ever since I've been adding more protein to my meals and changing up my nutrition. And to me, it tastes just as good. So I'm using the Genio version today. Per serving, that's 120 calories with 10 grams of protein. So I think I'm gonna do about half of this 16-ounce portion today with a can of my beans. So first we need to get this cooking up on our stove because this is raw turkey sausage. All right, I have my pan on medium heat with just a little spray of some olive oil. Now I have half of my turkey sausage round here. And we're gonna get this crumbled up in our pan. Now I want to get this fully cooked through and browned up before adding in our beans. Okay, so this is just browned up and cooked through about. I'm going to go ahead and add my can of refried beans. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir, and I'm going to mix in first about 1/4 of a cup of water. And then once I get this combined, I'll add in another 1/4 cup of water, just so that I can get my beans a little on the looser side. And this is on low heat right now. And at this point, I'm gonna add in some salt and some pepper. I probably won't need much because the chorizo is already heavily seasoned. So I'm gonna give this a little bit of a stir, and then I'll cover it and let the flavors kind of meld together until our pork is done. All right, it's been about 3.5 hours now, and we got a good tenderness on this. Check it out. This is pretty fork tender now. I can just shred it up into some big chunks like this. So I'm gonna do a light shred on this. I still like to keep it in bigger chunks, and then let it just kind of meld around in our sauce. All right, everyone, that is it for our Chile Verde meal. Unfortunately, I lost the footage I had of the day of, so I'm coming at you now to close this out And that doesn't even matter because I still remember now how delicious this meal was. You have to make it if you love Hispanic food. I scooped out our Chile Verde. I put it in a bowl because technically it is more of a stew, and to hold all of that nice, delicious green sauce. It came out so flavorful. I'm so glad that we made it from scratch, and cooking it in the slow cooker this time made it come out so tender, those meat chunks. I highly recommend it. I served that alongside my red Spanish rice. I'm glad that we shorted the liquid a bit to compensate for that tomato sauce because it came out with a very nice texture, which I think I'm gonna do moving forward as well. It's even delicious to take some of that Chile Verde stew sauce and then pour it onto your rice as you eat it. Almost everyone did that in my household. And then alongside our chorizo beans, higher protein style beans. It was just such a delicious, great meal. The only thing I regret was not doing a vegetable side, but I didn't even care once I took a drink of that delicious agua frescas we made, which was nice and lightly sweet and low calorie. Everything in this meal was 10 out of 10. Even my toddler ate it. Myself, my husband, and my mom who's here visiting us all loved it. So I will definitely be plugging it into the rotation more often. If you enjoyed this one, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up because it would really help out my channel. If you want to see more of my home cooking, make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the videos I got coming out soon. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.